wherever you're listening or watching Radio Afinju. The time is 6 p.m.
Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfínjú. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfínjú. Rédíò. Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfínjú. Lórí WhatsApp. Àfínjú. Instagram. Àfínjú. Facebook. Àfínjú. Lórí X. Àfínjú. Lórí YouTube. Àfínjú. Lórí TikTok. Àfínjú. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfínjú. Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfínjú. Rédíò. Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ 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 Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú.
Stay informed with news on Radio Afinju.
First, a look at the highlights. Federal government to audit Ajaokuta steel complex paves way for private investment. Ethiopia's PM Abiy appoints new leader of Tigray administration. Trump says U.S. to hold direct nuclear talks with Iran. Good evening and welcome to the World News on Radio Afinju. My name is Pearl Durotoye. The news in detail. The Minister of Steel Development, Shuaibu Audu, has revealed that the government is on the verge of initiating a comprehensive technical and financial audit of the Ajaokuta steel complex and other key equipment owned by the company. He said this audit process is to allow for private investment from potential suitors as directed by President Bola Tinubu. Audu gave the hint when he received the newly appointed Managing Director of the Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited, Nasir Abdul Salam, and presented him with his appointment letter following the handover by the former acting sole administrator, Kanwai Joseph, to the new leadership. A statement by the Minister's Special Assistant Media, Lizzie Okoje in Abuja, noted that at the handover ceremony, Audu expressed confidence in Abdul Salam's ability to lead Ajaokuta Steel Company in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda to revive the steel plant. The suspended senator for Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, has instituted a 5 billion naira defamation case against her colleague, Onyekachi Nwemboin, for alleging that she had 6 children for different men. In the process, she filed through a team of lawyers led by a senior advocate of Nigeria, MJ Numa. Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan described Nwemboin's claim as false, saying it was a deliberate attempt to tarnish her reputation. She told the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory that Nwemboin, who represents Ebonyi North Central Senatorial District, had severely injured her reputation, caused her considerable distress and embarrassment to her credibility and public perception. She told the court that the defendant, who is also the Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate, had on March 6, 2025, during a televised interview program, falsely, maliciously, and without any lawful justification, referred to her as a gold digger, a habitual liar, and a habitual blackmailer. She told the court that aside from the allegation that she had 6 children for different men, Senator Nwemboin equally alleged that her husband, Emmanuel Uduaghan, married her under duress. Pan-Yoruba Socio-Cultural Organization, Afenifere, has warned against making incendiary statements or introducing unsecular practices that can endanger peaceful coexistence among the residents of Ekiti and other southwest states. The organization also called upon intelligence agencies, especially the Force Intelligence Department of the Nigeria Police and Department of State Services, to put the Executive Director of Muslim Rights Concerns, Ishaq Akintola, under watch for making comments that can stoke religious conflicts in the region. Afenifere gave this warning in a statement by its chairman, Ekiti Chapter, Gabriel Alonge. This followed Akintola's statement that Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele has declared war on Muslims over mosque demolition in Aramoko, Ekiti State. Afenifere, in a statement, described Akintola's comments as unfounded, unguided, and capable of endangering peaceful coexistence among brothers of different religious leanings and stoking the embers of religious conflicts in Ekiti State and, by extension, the Southwest. The Osun State government has relaxed the curfew imposed on Erin-Osun, Ifon, and Ilobu communities from 17 to 12 hours. The directive by Governor Ademola Adeleke is contained in a statement by the Osun State Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Kolakpo Alimi. Governor Adeleke stated that the directive is based on the gradual return to peace in the three warring communities in Irekpodun and Ifon Orolu local governments. The governor also explained that the relaxation of the curfew follows various security reports indicating that the much anticipated ceasefire is becoming more prominent on a daily basis. Recall, as violence escalated between the three communities in the middle of March, the state government imposed a dusk to dawn curfew in Ilobu and Ifon communities. Elsewhere, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has appointed Tadesse Worede to lead the interim administration in the northern Tigray region, where divisions in the ruling party have sparked fears of a renewed war between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Tadesse, the administration's deputy president for the last 2 years, was a top commander in the Tigray People's Liberation Front during the 2020-2022 war with Ethiopia's federal government, which killed tens of thousands of people and forced millions from their homes. Eritrean forces fought in support of Ethiopia's federal army during that conflict, but relations between the longtime rivals have since soured over an agreement ending the conflict signed in November 2022. Last year, the TPLF split into two factions, with a dissident group led by Debretsion Gebre Michael accusing Tigray's interim administration, led initially by TPLF spokesperson Getachew Reda, whose 2-year term is now expired, of selling out Tigrayan interests. In Asia, South Korea's military said it had fired warning shots after North Korean soldiers violated the military demarcation line before returning. The Joint Chiefs of Staff said in a text message to reporters the military is closely monitoring the North Korean military's activity and taking necessary measures according to the operational procedures. The South military had on Monday said about 1,500 North Koreans were working on barbed wire installations and land work in the demilitarized zone as the North was conducting military exercises. South Korea's acting president Han Duck-soo said the government would maintain a steadfast readiness posture against North Korea provocations after the Constitutional Court ousted impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol. Sources said the two Koreas are still technically at war after their 1950 to 1953 war ended in an armistice, not a peace treaty. An American academic, Paul Chambers, has been arrested in Thailand, charged with insulting the monarchy in a rare prosecution of a foreigner under one of the world's strictest lèse-majesté laws. Police said Chambers, a lecturer at Thailand's Naresuan University, reported to a precinct in the northern province of Phitsanulok after a warrant for his arrest was issued last week following a complaint filed by the army. Chambers was also charged with a computer crime violation. Thailand's monarchy is protected by Section 112 of the country's penal code, which says anyone found guilty of defaming, insulting, or threatening the king, queen, heir apparent, or regent shall be punished with imprisonment of 3 to 15 years. It was confirmed that Chambers was denied bail. In Europe, King Charles and his wife, Queen Camilla, arrived in Italy for a 4-day state visit, during which the British monarch will address the Italian parliament in Rome. It is the 17th official visit by Charles to Italy and his first overseas trip this year as he continues to undergo treatment for cancer. It coincides with the 20th wedding anniversary of Charles and Camilla, who married on April 9th, 2005. Their wedding took place the day after the funeral of Pope John Paul II, which Charles attended as then heir to the throne. Charles, who as British king is the supreme governor of the Church of England, had been due to meet Pope Francis this week, but the meeting was postponed in late March because of concern over the pontiff's health. Germany has suspended admission of refugees via a UN resettlement program as a new coalition government likely to restrict immigration prepares to take office. Migration has been a contentious issue in coalition negotiations between Frederick Merz's conservative CDU-CSU bloc and the centre-left Social Democrats, which are expected to conclude within weeks. The Conservatives are advocating a stricter approach to asylum seekers in response to rising support for the far-right Alternative for Germany party and several violent incidents involving refugees. According to reports, the two sides have struck a preliminary agreement to end voluntary federal admission programs for refugees, such as the UN program, the only one currently active, and not to launch any new ones. Germany has participated since 2016 in a European Union resettlement scheme that accepts refugees selected by the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR. Most come from Turkey, Egypt, Jordan or Kenya, or from Libya via Rwanda. In the Americas, President Donald Trump says the United States and Iran will hold direct talks over a possible new nuclear deal on Saturday. Hours after the surprise announcement, Iran's foreign minister said the talks in Oman would be indirect but could be as much an opportunity as a test. Trump, who pulled the U.S. out a 2015 nuclear deal between Iran and world powers during his first term, said discussions would be at a very high level and that Iran would be in great danger if talks were not successful. Last month, Iran said it was open to the possibility of indirect talks after Trump said he wanted a deal to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons and avert possible U.S. military action. Trump disclosed the talks after a White House meeting with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has also threatened to strike Iranian nuclear sites. Still in the Americas, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth landed in Panama late on Monday for his first official visit to the country as questions persist about President Donald Trump's repeated vows to take back the Panama Canal. During his trip this week, Hegseth will meet Panamanian officials as well as defense leaders from other Central American nations who are attending a security conference in Panama City. In the Middle East, Israel's Supreme Court began a hearing into Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's bid to sack the head of the Domestic Intelligence Service amid raucous scenes from shouting protesters that forced the judges to clear the court. Netanyahu's move to sack Shin Bet head Ronen Bar was blocked by the Supreme Court after it agreed to consider petitions against the decision, which fueled anti-government protests and highlighted political divisions that have deepened since the start of the Gaza war. It was learned that as the hearing began, one protester whose son was killed in Gaza in December 2023 was dragged out of the hearing as he shouted at the judges, accusing Bar of being responsible for his son's death. Netanyahu said last month that he had lost confidence in Bar over the agency's failure to prevent the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel. But the move sparked a furious reaction from critics who said the real reason for his dismissal was the police and Shin Bet's investigation into possible ties between Netanyahu aides and Qatar. Now talking sports, Al Nassr's forward Cristiano Ronaldo has hired a new security team. This follows threats to the 40-year-old's family with an intimidating bodyguard protecting them. Concerns have been raised regarding Ronaldo's security in Saudi Arabia, and there have been a series of alarming threats made to Ronaldo and his partner Georgina on social media, leading to changes being made to his backroom team. According to sources, Ronaldo, Georgina, and their children have been living a quiet life in the Middle East. Distressing images and messages have, however, been posted online, forcing the five-time Ballon d'Or winner to take decisive action. Georgina has also limited exposing her kids on social media, which forms part of a wider security strategy. Before we go, here again are the highlights. The Minister of Steel Development, Shuaibu Audu, has revealed that the government is on the verge of initiating a comprehensive technical and financial audit at the Ajaokuta Steel Complex and other key equipment owned by the company. Elsewhere, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has appointed Tadesse Warade to lead the interim administration in the northern Tigray region, where divisions in the ruling party have sparked fears of a renewed war between Ethiopia and Eritrea. And in the Americas, President Donald Trump says the U.S. and Iran will hold direct talks over a possible new nuclear deal on Saturday. That was the world news on Radio Afinju. To view our channel, please follow Radio Afinju on Facebook, X, and YouTube. The news was edited by Stella Adeoranti. My name is Pearl Durotoye. Thanks for listening. Good evening.
You know they leave the bed. Esekeseni. No space to